Next on Worcester News Tonight, thunderstorms across the area this afternoon are to blame for a house fire in Auburn. Plus, preparations begin for the demolition of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Crews clearing out the church for a majority of the day. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The architectural firm helping design a new Dougherty High School provides an update for the city Monday. LPAA says they have considered multiple sites but have limited their choices to a few they believe would work best. Our Cam Jandro is on scene at Dougherty High School tonight and has more. Cam?
Yeah, Anna, that number started right around 10 potential locations for Doherty High, and they've knocked it down to 3, but they say there's no front runner right now. All of these sites have significant pros as well as cons, and that's why LPAA and the city of Worcester are reaching out to the community to see what they have to think. Worcester-based architectural firm LPAA has spent months working to find a new home for Doherty High.
Each site has different opportunities and different issues with it, and so they have been kind of fun actually in terms of being able to imagine what the opportunities might be.
The firm narrowed their choices down to 3 spots: the current location of Chandler Magnet School, Foley Stadium, or build a new building where Doherty is now. But a choice is not expected until the end of this year.
We'll have about a 3-month period to do that, and at the end of that time, one will be selected for the schematic design and will be called the preferred solution.
Mayor Joe Petty says replacing older schools is one of his top priorities. The city built the new North High, Nelson Place School, and South High since he took office.
I think it's the most important project in the city of Worcester. I really do. And it means a lot to me. This will be a state-of-the-art school no matter where it is built.
LPAA wants to begin working on Doherty once the new South High is completed. The building process is expected to take more than 2 years. The hope is the new Doherty will be ready for 2024.
This is going to be a major capital project in the city. It will be here for another 50 years. It's fabulous to have everybody come out.
Now, LPAA says on a meeting on September 9th, they will continue to study the 3 locations that they have selected. And then following that, they hope to choose one of those, make it the preferred spot around Christmas time this year. If you were unable to put your input in this meeting tonight, you can go to the city's website as well as LPAA's website to give your feedback. We're in Worcester tonight. I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
Firefighters in Auburn respond to a home struck by lightning after a round of thunderstorms passed through the area earlier tonight. According to Auburn Fire Chief Stephen Coleman, the home on Packagug Crossing appears to have caught fire after being struck. When firefighters arrived, they saw smoke coming from the roof.
Heaviest smoke and fire was contained to the attic area. Fortunately, we were not able to, we did not have to cut a hole in the roof to ventilate it, so we were able to ventilate with some fans without doing that. But we are stripping some of the vinyl siding away where the lightning entered the side of the house.
One neighbor says he was in his home office working when he heard and witnessed the strike.
I heard a big bang and I was looking out at the time of the bang and saw the lightning strike the house in the back of the house. My whole house shook and I actually lost a couple TVs too.
Chief Coleman says the homeowners will not be able to return to the home tonight due to smoke damage and damage on the side of the home. Also, extensive damage in Douglas. Martin Road had multiple power lines and downed trees. Resident Robert Lanfer says the damage was caused by wind. A tree was uprooted in his backyard and a falling branch smashed the rear windshield of his car.
Yeah, it was wind. Yeah, same with the tree on the main road. Yeah, wind did that too. I was on the front porch and I saw it and heard it. It was pretty intense.
Lanfer says he's grateful no one was hurt and his home was not damaged. Demolition crews arrived on scene at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church this morning. Pieces inside the church were brought out as former parishioners watched. Some are worried their mementos will be forgotten, while others say it's time to move on. Our Chandler Walsh has the story.
Truthfully, I think it's a sin to take it down.
Demolition work on Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church is beginning. Fourth-generation parishioner Anthony Postali says it's a terrible day for many people.
It's too bad it didn't work out, and it's going this route.
Postali's great-grandparents melted down their gold to help fund the church. He says he prays to Our Lady of Mount Carmel in tough times.
Many years ago, I had a collapsed lung, got pneumonia, and I was in a hospital 21 days, and when they sent me home to die, basically.
Postali says praying here saved his life.
Sure enough, I'm still here 50-some years later.
F&D Truck Company went to work Monday removing debris inside. Unlike Postali, parishioner Louise Viola says today is long overdue.
And if there weren't a problem with the church, there aren't enough donations to keep the community viable.
She says money is too short to save the church and hopes demolition brings peace between the people on both sides.
It'll be nice to see hopefully, some of the old parishioners coming back and see them once more.
Stephen Sebring tried to get into the parish center in hopes of saving a granite brick his grandfather donated to fund it.
Every time I went in there, I made sure I looked at that. It was really kind of cool to see his name there.
He didn't get in, and both he and Postali say the church meant more to their families, and seeing it go is difficult.
My mother was married here. I was baptized here. All the deaths in our family.
People think it's just a building of stone and brick and cement. A lot of people, their hearts and souls are in here.
The Diocese of Worcester says they've already brought religious items from Our Lady of Mount Carmel to Our Lady of Loretto. In April, they put information on how families can save stone plaques in a church bulletin. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Tonight, a man charged in a deadly hit-and-run out of Sutton is being held on bail. In court today, we learned more about how police tracked down Shane Newman. Mike Manzoni has more on the details revealed in court today.
Tears rolled down Shane Newman's face as the suspect in a deadly hit-and-run appeared in Uxbridge District Court. 3 days after Sutton Police tracked him down in Connecticut.
He was a jogger, that he'd been out for a run.
Prosecutors say Newman hit and killed 51-year-old Daniel DeLima from Millbury last Wednesday morning and then drove off. This surveillance video shows DeLima jogging just moments before the crash.
A 100-foot field of debris with over 50 pieces of a headlight.
New court documents explain how investigators found Newman. They used pieces of a broken headlight as well as paint they found at the scene to figure out that they were looking for a white Cadillac SRX. 2 people drove that kind of car in town, and investigators ruled out one of them. That led them to Newman, and according to court documents, quote, recent contact with Newman provided us with a cellular telephone number. The paperwork then says, quote, a search warrant authorized real-time global positioning location on this cellular telephone. Investigators say they also found out that, quote, he arrived at work the morning of the collision and made statements to co-workers that he had been in a crash that morning.
Anything to say about Shane?
Newman's family left the courthouse after breaking down during his arraignment. They didn't want to talk with us, but his attorney did.
You could see from the look on his face that he's emotionally distraught at this time.
A popular New England chain is hosting a fundraiser this week, giving back to the daughter of a fallen Worcester firefighter. On Wednesday, participating Worcester Dunkin locations are holding a Guest Appreciation Day. $1 from any cold brew or nitro coffee will be donated to the Ava Roy Fund. The fund is set up for the daughter of fallen Worcester firefighter Christopher Roy, who died last year while fighting a fire in Worcester. Longtime WTAG host Paul Rogers is honored by the station Monday. The radio station gave out free succulents to the public. Rogers was a noted horticulturalist and hosted Gardener's Calendar with Paul Rogers Saturday mornings for more than 4 decades. Rogers died last month at the age of 90. WTAG employees are encouraging people to plant the succulents in his memory.
Paul just loved green things, and he wants the love to be spread through flowers, and what better way than a perennial memorial garden with succulents. This is our way of sending a tribute to Paul that he's never going to be forgotten.
Any plants not taken today will be planted at the radio station as part of a Paul Rogers Memorial Garden. Worcester Police asking for the public's help identifying a man. The department sharing these pictures. They say they're looking for the man in connection to an incident at the CVS on Grafton Street. It happened around 4:15 in the morning on August 8th. If you have any information, you're asked to contact police. EEE concerns are rising all across the state after a second person is diagnosed with the potentially deadly virus. Warnings from health officials are prompting several communities to take action. Our Brittany Schaefer has the latest.
We've had a lot of folks call our Board of Health. Obviously, people are worried.
The town of Grafton is taking extra precautions after a man from town is diagnosed with EEE.
It's unfortunate. You never want to see somebody or someone's family go through something like that, but all we can do is prepare people and do outreach education on how to protect themselves and their families, and if the board does opt to do the spraying.
The state lists Grafton and neighboring towns Northbridge, Shrewsbury, Southborough, Upton, and Westborough at critical risk for the virus. Grafton High School's athletic teams are not practicing during peak mosquito hours of dawn and dusk and says this could impact the rest of the season.
We're taking a very close look at our schedules, practice schedules, and contest schedules. Again, just making sure that we're following as closely as possible those Mass DPH and Grafton Board of Health guidelines. To cancel games would be devastating to a season, of course, and it's not something that we would want to do. This just adds a new wrinkle to the mix.
The Central Mass Mosquito Control Project sprays 42 communities in the state, including many in central Massachusetts. Executive Director Timothy Deschamps says this year's mosquito season has been more serious.
This is a severe issue. We have identified EEE virus on occasion, over the past decade or two. We did have indications early on that this could potentially be a more serious year. It has initiated some wider scale truck mounted spraying, and of course the phone has been continually ringing with residents concerned about the virus.
Deschamps says they'll be spraying critical risk areas more often these next couple months and says it's important to take proper precautions against this fatal disease.
It has anywhere from a 30 to 50% mortality rate, and unfortunately most survivors from this illness have lifelong neurological conditions.
Grafton's assistant town administrator says their Board of Health is still deciding whether to bring in a contractor to spray infected areas. In Grafton, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
An analysis will look at the possibility of a fare-free buses for the Worcester Regional Transit Authority. The WRTA's advisory board voted unanimously to conduct the study. In May, a Research Bureau report said Worcester would be the perfect candidate for a fare-free system. Many people seem to back the idea, but the WRTA is reminding people converting to a fare-free system is more than just removing fare boxes from buses.
At this point, we're going to run essentially several studies, actually. One is, what alternatives do we have on other fare collection systems? We're not going to buy anything without kind of solving the second problem, is should we be a fare-free system, or is continuing to collect fares a more appropriate way to run through? That component of the study will have to look at what other sources of revenue we would have available to us to replace the cost of fares.
The WRTA says they are looking at ways to make up for the fare revenue that would be lost.